3/4 inch socket. We're going to go ahead and remove the wheel. All right, we're going to go ahead and use a screwdriver, and we're going to try and disconnect this fuel line. Press up on this little tab and gently work that off. We decided to use a pair of pliers here. So go ahead and release that. And once that is released, you just go ahead and flex that up out of the way. And if you can, we'll try and get to this back one here. Take care of that one while we're here. Try and do the same for this connector right here. Pinch this tab and separate this line. Go. And we're going to go ahead and undo this little lock tab on this connector. All right, so with that red clip released, pinch the release tab and pop. I'm going to go ahead and pop this little plastic clip off of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the clamp with a fuel filler hose. At this point here, we're going to try and maybe pull that hose off of the fuel filler neck tube. Like so. We're now going to go ahead and use a jack to support the gas tank. Then we're going to go ahead and start removing the bolts from the straps and start lowering the tank down a little bit. I'll go ahead and remove this bolt here. these bolts from the rear portion of the drive shaft. At this point here, you want to be prepared. Once we remove this last bolt, the drive shaft may move on you, or it may just stick there, but we want to go ahead and get that prepared. And ours is hanging on there. Now I want to go ahead and get a bungee cord ready so we can go ahead and just going to pop this off and swing it towards the passenger side. Now the fuel line's up to the front of the tank. We're going to go ahead and just pinch the tab. We want to go ahead and disconnect these lines here. Sometimes you can pinch it with just your fingertip and push the connector in.
Okay.
Yep. We disconnect that line there. All right, and we're going to go ahead and do the same for this connector right here. Next, we're going to go ahead and lower the tank and bring it down slowly. Keep an eye on the connectors, hoses, and you also want to stabilize that fuel tank as you lower it. Okay, go ahead and pull the tank out. Once you have the tank off, you want to go ahead and clean off the top of this, because we're going to go ahead and remove this ring and we're going to remove the fuel pump sending unit. You don't want this debris falling down inside the tank. Once you have that cleaned off, we now want to go ahead and disconnect this fuel line hose. You can press in on the side tab right on the top, press it in, and wiggle the hose. You should be able to go ahead and disconnect that from the top of the fuel pump. Sometimes if you can't press in on that hard enough, we'll just use a pair of pliers. Just gently squeeze that. You can rotate it and then pop that off like so. Now we've already disconnected the harness on this end here, but we're now going to go ahead and disconnect the harness connector here. So I'm going to do so by just opening up this little red clip. That is your lock. Press down on the tab and then remove the connector. You just leave that on the side. Now next, we're going to go ahead and use the same screwdriver. We want to go ahead and release this lock unit. So we're going to do so by putting the screwdriver right here. And we'll go ahead and give this ring a few taps. With that lock ring released, go ahead and pull that out, set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and lift up this unit. I'm going to work its way up and bring that float out and then put it right into your catch can. And then put that aside. Next, we want to go ahead and remove the original O-ring. You want to make sure that where the O-ring goes is clean. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this a gentle blast of air to get that debris out of here. I'm going to go ahead and take the new O-ring, set that down in place. Then we're going to take the new component, go ahead and get that float lined up. Go ahead and line this up and drop it down inside. This tab here will line up with this arrow in this tab section. Go ahead and press this down into place and take your lock ring and line this up. Get that position into place and you can just start to lock it in by hand. Once you get to that point, go back and grab your screwdriver and the mallet. We're going to go ahead and just give this a few taps to lock that back on. And work our way around the lock ring. Looks like that's pretty well locked into place. So now I'm going to go ahead and take that connector, line that back up. Once that's on there, go ahead and press that lock back into place. I want to make sure that that is seated all the way though. There we go. And we'll go ahead and pop this cap off, put that fuel line on, just press it on, and you'll hear it click into place. Now go ahead and raise the tank up into position. All right, with the tank moving up into position, grab the e-brake cable. You're gonna wanna get that on the other side of the mounting bracket. Roll the tank back just a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and lift that a little bit higher up. While we're doing so, you wanna go ahead and get this bracket around the drive shaft. Once this front strap comes up to a certain point, you're going to go ahead and pull it up and over. Make sure that lines up. Then you want to go to the other side, the frame side, and make sure that we can get these straps lined up as well. Once everything looks like it has some good clearance, jack it up a little bit further. We're going to start go ahead and connecting some of these fuel lines right now. Line that up, press it in, hear it click into place, grab that fuel line, clip it into place. Let's now go ahead and move to the back and start connecting hoses back there. All right, at the back section here, go ahead and grab that fuel line, bring that over, line it up, and you want to push it on, and you should hear it click, snapped into place. Don't forget that electrical connector. You want to go ahead, line that up, press it on, make sure that it's connected good, the lock, and then push those little tabs back on to hold that up and out of the way. Now we're going to come back over here. We have the Y hose. We're going to go ahead and bring that around, bring that together, and this should pop back together itself. Press that together till you hear it click. And then we have our main fuel hose here for the filler tube. Make sure you have that clamp still on the hose. I'm going to go ahead and line this up and try and wiggle that onto the fuel filler tube. Now with the filler hose attached, go ahead and tighten up that hose clamp. All right, with all the electrical connectors and hoses attached, go ahead and raise the tank up in a position. And what's in the vicinity, I'm going to go ahead and try and get a couple bolts started by hand. You might have to lower the tank a little bit, move it around. Just want to have a little bit of flexibility there. Get that one there started. I'm going to grab one of the forward. See if I can get this forward mounted bolt started. This is a challenging one right here. And get this back bolt started. I'm going to go ahead and get two of the other side bolts started next. Get this one here started. Lower the jack now. I'm going to get this out of the way. Next, we'll go up and tighten up this forward bolt first. Work our way back. The factory bolts came out with blue Loctite for the drive shaft, so we're going to go ahead and reinstall it using blue Loctite. We're going to take care of all 4 bolts first so that they are ready to go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove our little trusty strap right here and get that out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and bring that drive shaft back, line that up. And go ahead and start getting those bolts in. You might need to give that drive shaft a couple taps to get that to line up. And then go ahead and start getting those bolts started by hand. Once those are started by hand, I'm just going to go ahead and snug these down. Rotate this shaft here so we get access to these. So we're just going to work our way around here and make sure that these are all tight. The blue Loctite will hold those bolts in for us. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the wheel installed. Go ahead and get the lug nut started. You want to get all 5 of the lug nuts started by hand before you put any power tools on them. We're now going to go ahead and snug all these down. Now we can go ahead and lower the vehicle to the ground, get some pressure on the wheel, and then we're going to go ahead and torque the wheels. Now we're going to go ahead and torque these wheels to 100 foot-pounds. Do this in a crisscross pattern.